Imperial court justice, legal proceedings and political trials. The supreme magistrate, in the imposing judicial chambers of Tenochtitlan's imperial courthouse, where complex legal proceedings determined the fate of nobles, administrators, and regional leaders whose actions affected millions of subjects across the empire, Tlacaelel Nezahualcoyotl, the most respected supreme magistrate in Aztec legal history, prepared to preside over the most significant political trial of his 30-year judicial career, while understanding that authentic imperial justice required not merely adherence to legal procedures, but sophisticated political judgment that could balance individual accountability with imperial stability, ensuring that legal decisions served both divine justice and practical governance through careful consideration of evidence, precedent, and political consequences. The case before the imperial court involved accusations of tribute embezzlement against Itzel Cuauhtemotzin, the former provincial governor of the Aztec territories, whose administrative decisions had allegedly diverted substantial imperial resources to his personal enrichment while failing to maintain adequate military defenses that contributed to recent regional rebellions requiring costly imperial intervention. The charges include systematic falsification of tribute records, unauthorized reduction of regional quotas, personal appropriation of luxury goods designated for imperial use, and negligent administration that weakened imperial authority in strategically important territories. Tlacaelel announced during the formal reading of accusations before an assembly that included imperial administrators, regional representatives, noble families, and legal scholars, whose presence demonstrated the trial's significance for imperial governance. This political trial represented more than simple criminal proceedings. It would establish important precedents for administrative accountability while testing the imperial legal system's ability to balance individual justice with political necessity in cases involving high-ranking officials whose actions affected imperial stability and regional relationships. The evidence presentation phase required systematic examination of complex financial records, tribute documentation, witness testimony, and physical evidence that could establish the defendant's guilt or innocence, while addressing broader questions about administrative oversight, regional autonomy, and imperial control mechanisms that affected governance throughout the empire. The tribute records analysis involved detailed examination of pictographic codices that documented regional obligations, collection schedules, and delivery confirmations spanning 5 years of provincial administration. Court scribes had spent weeks comparing official records with independent merchant reports, regional testimony, and physical tribute inventories to identify discrepancies that might indicate fraudulent activity. Systematic comparison of official tribute records with independent merchant documentation reveals significant discrepancies in reported cacao bean collections, with official records showing deliveries 30% below levels documented by reliable merchant witnesses, reported Judicial, the chief court investigator whose analysis would form the foundation for determining factual accuracy of the charges. This forensic accounting required sophisticated understanding of imperial administrative procedures while demonstrating the legal system's capability for conducting detailed financial investigations that could establish objective evidence in complex political cases. The witness examination process involved testimony from regional administrators, merchant representatives, military commanders, and community leaders whose direct experience provided essential evidence about the defendant's administrative behavior and its consequences for regional stability and imperial authority. Each witness underwent formal questioning under oath before the assembled court, with their testimony recorded by specialized scribes whose pictographic documentation would preserve accurate records of legal proceedings for future reference and precedent establishment. The questioning procedures followed established judicial protocols that ensured fair treatment while extracting relevant information. Testimony from military commander Xochitl indicates that requested military supplies were consistently delayed or reduced in quality, compromising defensive preparations that contributed to successful rebel attacks on imperial installations, noted Sitlali, the prosecutor whose responsibility included presenting evidence that established criminal liability and political consequences. Such military testimony demonstrated how administrative corruption could have strategic implications that extended far beyond simple financial irregularities to encompass threats to imperial security and territorial control that affected thousands of subjects and regional stability. The defense presentation required the accused administrator to explain his actions while providing alternative interpretations of evidence that might justify his administrative decisions or demonstrate his innocence of criminal charges. The imperial legal system recognized the principle that accused individuals deserved opportunities to present their case before impartial judges. The defendant claims that reduced tribute quotas reflected legitimate adjustments for regional drought conditions and population displacement caused by military conflicts, while arguing that luxury goods in question were distributed as diplomatic gifts necessary for maintaining regional alliances, outlined Nakali, the defense advocate whose role included ensuring fair legal proceedings while challenging prosecution evidence. This defense strategy required addressing both factual disputes about administrative actions and legal questions about the scope of provincial authority and the circumstances that might justify deviations from standard imperial procedures. The legal precedent research involved examination of previous court decisions, imperial edicts, and traditional legal principles that established frameworks for evaluating administrative conduct, while ensuring that current proceedings remained consistent with established judicial standards and imperial legal tradition. Previous court decisions in cases involving provincial administrators established clear standards for tribute collection procedures while recognizing limited discretionary authority for regional adjustments based on extraordinary circumstances, explained Milintika, the legal scholar whose expertise in judicial precedent helped ensure appropriate application of established law. This precedent analysis ensured that legal decisions reflected consistent application of imperial law while providing frameworks for evaluating complex cases that involved both factual disputes and questions about the scope of administrative authority in challenging circumstances. The political implications assessment required careful consideration of how the trial's outcome would affect imperial governance, regional relationships, and administrative accountability standards throughout the empire. Legal decisions in high-profile political trials created precedents that influenced behavior by officials at every level of imperial administration. Conviction of a provincial governor on these charges would demonstrate imperial commitment to administrative integrity while sending clear messages about consequences for corruption, observed Itzpapalotl, an advisor whose expertise in political analysis helped evaluate broader implications of judicial decisions. However, excessive punishment might discourage capable individuals from accepting challenging administrative appointments. This political analysis reflected understanding that imperial court decisions affected not just individual defendants, but also broader patterns of governance and administrative recruitment that influenced the empire's ability to maintain effective control over vast territories and diverse populations. The regional stability considerations involved evaluating how the trial's outcome would affect relationships between imperial authorities and local communities whose cooperation was essential for maintaining political control and economic productivity in strategically important territories. The Aztec region controlled valuable coastal resources while occupying strategic positions along trade routes connecting highland territories with distant markets. Maintaining stability in this region required balancing imperial authority with local autonomy in ways that encouraged cooperation while discouraging resistance or rebellion. Regional leaders have expressed concerns that excessive punishment of their former governor might indicate imperial disregard for local conditions and legitimate administrative challenges, reported Tlacaelel, a regional specialist whose understanding of local politics helped evaluate potential consequences of various judicial outcomes. However, failure to address proven corruption could encourage similar misconduct by other regional administrators. This regional analysis demonstrated how legal proceedings involving high-ranking officials carried implications that extended beyond individual justice to encompass broader questions about imperial legitimacy and the balance between central control and regional autonomy. The economic impact evaluation required assessing financial losses caused by alleged administrative misconduct while considering broader economic consequences of various judicial outcomes for regional productivity and imperial revenue systems. Financial analysis indicates that fraudulent tribute practices resulted in imperial revenue losses exceeding 40% of regional quotas over a 5-year period, representing substantial economic damage that affected imperial capacity for military operations and infrastructure development, calculated Tlacaelel, a financial specialist whose analysis quantified economic consequences of administrative misconduct. This economic assessment provided objective measures of harm caused by alleged criminal activity while demonstrating the imperial legal system's capability for conducting sophisticated financial analysis that could support informed judicial decision-making. The administrative reform implications involved considering how the trial's outcome might influence future imperial policies regarding provincial oversight, administrative accountability, and governance procedures that could prevent similar misconduct while maintaining effective territorial administration. This case reveals weaknesses in current oversight procedures that enabled sustained fraudulent activity without detection, noted Sitlali during policy analysis discussions. Legal proceedings should consider recommendations for administrative reforms that could strengthen imperial governance while maintaining necessary regional flexibility. This administrative analysis reflected understanding that judicial proceedings could serve educational functions by identifying systemic weaknesses and recommending improvements that enhanced imperial governance effectiveness while preventing future misconduct. The evidence evaluation phase involved systematic assessment of all testimony, documentation, and physical evidence presented during the proceedings to determine factual accuracy of charges while applying appropriate legal standards for criminal conviction in cases involving high-ranking imperial officials. The burden of proof required demonstrating criminal intent and actual misconduct beyond reasonable doubt, while addressing alternative explanations that might justify the defendant's actions or explain apparent irregularities through legitimate administrative decisions rather than criminal activity. Systematic evidence evaluation reveals consistent patterns of unauthorized deviation from imperial tribute procedures that cannot be explained by legitimate administrative discretion, concluded Tlacaelel after weeks of careful analysis. While defendants' claims regarding regional challenges deserve consideration, documented actions exceed reasonable responses to extraordinary circumstances. This judicial analysis demonstrated the rigorous evaluation procedures that ensured fair treatment while maintaining appropriate standards for criminal conviction in complex political cases involving high-ranking officials whose actions affected imperial governance. The sentence deliberation process required balancing multiple considerations including individual accountability, deterrent effects on other administrators, regional stability implications, and imperial governance requirements that affected the appropriate level of punishment for proven misconduct. Sentencing must reflect the seriousness of administrative corruption while considering defendants' previous service record, regional challenges during his administration, and broader implications for imperial governance, observed Tlacaelel during final deliberations with assistant judges whose collective wisdom helped ensure appropriate judicial outcomes. This deliberation process reflected sophisticated understanding of judicial responsibility for balancing individual justice with broader imperial interests, while establishing precedents that would guide future administrative accountability standards. The final judgment involved comprehensive assessment of all evidence and considerations to determine appropriate criminal liability and punishment that served imperial justice while addressing broader governance implications of administrative misconduct in high-level positions. The court finds the defendant guilty of systematic tribute embezzlement and negligent administration that caused substantial financial losses and contributed to regional instability. Tlacaelel declared in formal judgment proceedings attended by representatives from throughout the empire. However, consideration of regional challenges and previous service record justifies modified punishment focused on restitution and administrative reform rather than maximum criminal penalties. This judicial decision demonstrated the sophisticated balance required in political trials, where individual accountability must serve broader imperial interests while maintaining legal standards that ensured fair treatment and appropriate consequences for administrative misconduct. The punishment decree included financial restitution for documented losses, removal from imperial administrative service, restriction of political privileges, and public acknowledgement of misconduct that would serve deterrent purposes while providing opportunities for the defendant to demonstrate rehabilitation through community service and modified civic participation. The precedent establishment involved formal documentation of legal principles applied during the proceedings to provide guidance for future cases involving administrative misconduct, while clarifying standards for provincial authority and imperial oversight that would influence governance throughout the empire. This case establishes clear standards for provincial administrative authority while demonstrating imperial commitment to accountability and fair judicial proceedings that balance individual justice with governance requirements, noted Milintica during precedent documentation procedures that would preserve legal principles for future application. The broader reforms recommended by the court included enhanced oversight procedures, improved training for provincial administrators, clearer guidelines for regional discretionary authority, and strengthened communication systems that could prevent similar misconduct while maintaining effective territorial administration. Administrative reforms should include quarterly reporting requirements, periodic imperial inspections, enhanced training in financial procedures, and clearer guidelines for regional emergency authority, recommended Tlacaelel in formal policy proposals accompanying the judicial decision. These improvements will strengthen imperial governance while providing provincial administrators with better guidance and support. These reform recommendations demonstrated how judicial proceedings could contribute to improved imperial governance by identifying systemic weaknesses and proposing practical solutions that enhanced administrative effectiveness while maintaining appropriate accountability standards. As the formal trial concluded and participants departed to implement judicial decisions and administrative reforms, Tlacaelel reflected on the complex responsibilities that imperial court justice entailed. These legal proceedings served multiple functions simultaneously, establishing individual accountability, setting governance precedents, maintaining imperial legitimacy, and contributing to administrative improvement that enhanced overall governance effectiveness. The supreme magistrates who presided over political trials served as essential guardians of imperial justice, whose professional expertise enabled the legal system to balance individual rights with collective governance requirements, while maintaining standards of fairness and accountability that legitimized imperial authority throughout diverse territories and populations. Through systematic attention to evidence evaluation, legal precedent, political implications, and administrative reform, imperial court proceedings created frameworks for governance accountability that served both immediate justice and long-term imperial stability through consistent application of legal standards that protected individual rights while maintaining effective territorial administration. The imperial court justice of the Aztec Empire represented sophisticated integration of legal expertise, political wisdom, and administrative understanding that enabled complex judicial proceedings to serve both individual accountability and collective governance requirements through systematic attention to evidence, precedent, and broader implications for imperial stability and effectiveness. The political trials they conducted established precedents for administrative accountability while demonstrating imperial commitment to legal fairness that enhanced governmental legitimacy and encouraged compliance with imperial standards throughout vast territories and diverse populations whose cooperation was essential for continued imperial success and stability. Imperial court justice served as a foundation of legitimate governance that connected individual accountability with collective welfare while maintaining legal standards that protected rights and ensured appropriate consequences for misconduct by officials at every level of imperial administration through systematic judicial procedures that balanced fairness with effectiveness in service to both justice and governance. The legacy of imperial court proceedings extended beyond individual cases to encompass broader principles of governmental accountability and legal fairness that influenced administrative behavior and political relationships throughout the empire, demonstrating that authentic imperial power required not merely military strength but also commitment to justice and legal consistency that earned respect and cooperation from subject populations through fair and effective governance.